Tibet is mainly a Buddhist-based region, also known as the roof of the world, which is located in China. Tibet continued to maintain an independent political relation with Nepal and China. The Buddhists influenced the Tibetan Buddhism, and Tibet became the only region in China that developed a functioning Buddhist theocracy. Buddhist influences from Nepal and India, as well as China's political influences, have played a significant role in the organization of the society and culture of Tibet. However, Buddhism no longer existed in India, as Tibet obtained every Buddhist in the 11th century. In the Tang dynasty, China's political influences was exceptionally strong, but eventually dropped during Sung's period. Later, Tibet was claimed by the Mongol Yuan dynasty. Unfortunately, the outcome was minor. In 1728, the Manchu Qing dynasty, which is a Chinese dynasty, managed to conquer the political affairs in Tibet. Thus, after centuries, they developed and incorporated the influences given in the previous period, which led into creating a unique political and religious order. Their independence from China was gained because of the Tibetans' culture and politics, despite racial and language differences. Geographically, Tibet is located in the mountains of Himalaya. China conquered the Tibet and controlled the Tibetans using force. Ever since then, the Tibetans have been living under China's military rules and regulations. Thus, in March 1959, the Tibetans protested to take back their country, but brutal forces were used against these protesters. The Dalai Lama, who is also the leader of Tibet, fled to India in order to ensure his safety. Later, Tibet was named the Autonomous Region, as it was integrated and divided into a Chinese province. China insisted the Tibetans were successful, but journalists, tourists, and diplomats were not allowed to visit the region. Agriculture and animal husbandry. The main successful economy in Tibet is the agriculture, despite it being an isolated region. Due to Tibet having the largest plateau, the Tibetans raise livestock such as sheep, goats, yaks, cattle, and horses. They also planted crops like wheat, barley, potato, cotton, and oats. The cool and dry climate allows the crops to be well preserved. Their knowledge and environment understanding are the reason why their agriculture is being well managed. Secondly, preserving their culture. In the past centuries, internal and external factors influenced the Tibetan culture. These influences are from Nepal, India, and China. In the 7th and 8th century, India introduced Buddhism, which made an impact on the Tibetans, causing it to become a part of their culture. Because Tibet is geographically isolated from the rest of the world, thus, the Tibetans preserved and conserved their culture without influences from other modern countries. In addition, their ability to rear yaks. In Tibet, yaks are a symbolic animal which can only be found there. Yaks are able to withstand extreme cold, as Tibet can be very cold, especially during the winter. They produce dairy products, meat, clothes, and tents. The unique climate and places that attracts tourists. The culture and beauty of Tibet attracts tourists to visit this region because the mother nature there is magnificent. The weather is always changing from mild temperatures to blizzard snow to sunshine. Furthermore, there are many beautiful places for tourism, such as the famous Potala Palace, which is the 5th Dalai Lama who reconstructed it in order for his residency. Their education system. Tibet had established schooling systems which were built from scratch. The Tibetan culture teaches classes such as language, art, calligraphy writing, and major subjects like maths and sciences, as well as Chinese. Today, Tibet is more connected to the outside world as it is no longer an isolated region due to the development of social economy. This region is progressing towards modernization with their achievements that captured attention worldwide. Despite the Tibetans heading to modernization, they still preserve their traditions, culture, beliefs, and religion. The education and healthcare systems, as well as lifestyles, have been developing without losing their roots. First and foremost, they are slowly overcoming poverty. The central government is trying to modernize its ancient region by pouring billions of dollars into Tibet. Bullet trains and highways are soon to be built across the Himalayas, and roads are being paved in order to promote tourism. Over the past decade, major economic transformations have taken place, such as building proper infrastructure like railways, highways, and airports. On top of that, schools are being built and the usage of communication is being promoted. These are being built in order to improve the Tibetans' living, and also by providing them with modern houses. Many measures are being taken to improve the economic problems through investing, employment, and providing residency for the Tibetans who aren't living in suitable conditions. Next, a popular tourism place. Tourism in Tibet is booming as millions of dollars is entering the region. The culture, history, and scenery attracted tourists all around the world to visit. Because of this, a tremendous growth had occurred, and now Tibet is expected to have up to 40 million tourists next year. To promote tourism, the local government decided to motivate the locals to be more involved in business tourism.
Now I'm going to talk about how Tibet had an impact on the world history. In 1963, after the Chinese repression, the Dalai Lama adopted a constitution for a democratic Tibet. It has been successfully implemented to the extent possible by the government in exile. In Tibet, meanwhile, religious repression consists in human rights abuses and the widespread demolition by the occupying authorities of religious and ancient buildings have failed to break the spirit of the Tibetan people to prevent the destruction of their national identity. As a result of the Chinese conquest, 1.2 million Tibetans have lost their lives, which is over 1/6 of the population. But the younger generation of Tibetans seem to be just as determined as the older generation to recover the freedom of the region. What changes did Tibet face after being opened to the world? Some foreign scholars have linked life in Old Tibet with that of the Middle Ages in Europe. No drinking water, no sewage system, no power supply, no highway transport, no decent cities. This is how the Chinese and the foreign media portrayed Tibet until the early 1950s. During that time, apart from the Everest and other mountain ranges, portrayed a remote and mythical picture of Tibet. In other words, Tibet was the synonym for backwardness and isolation. It is no surprise that when members of an international tour group arrived at the Lhasas enthusiastically anticipating the medieval period scenario, they were totally unprepared for star-rated hotels, large stores, pubs, restaurants, internet cafes, and the stock exchange they encountered. Lhasa is no different from any other city. Tibet has progressed from backwardness to development, from suffering to prosperity, and from isolation to openness, ever since its peaceful independence. Tibet's contributions. For most people, hearing the term Tibet stirs up images of monks, meditations, ice-rolling mountaintops, blue skies, red robes, and maybe the holy Shangri-La. Tibet is, in fact, far more than that. The highest location on the earth, known as the roof of the world, is situated here. With its lavish landscape and unique religious community, this huge, serene land has drawn countless visitors. The authenticity of Tibet's air has proved to provide tourists from various parts of the world with harmony and fulfillment. Throughout the year, the region hosts various kinds of festival. So if you want anything unambiguously religious, such as disciples trailing monks towards holy lakes and monasteries, or any traditional delicious food, festival hosting the traditional delicacies of Tibetan cuisine and their butter tea. Due to its diverse culture and never-fading scenery, the region draws all kinds of visitors. In Tibet, the weather is never the same, and the various seasons pull out the different faces of this enigma, making it a perfect location for your holiday, regardless of whether you enjoy mild temperatures and constant sunlight or shivering snow and peaceful, lonely surroundings. Tibet's breathtaking landscape captures everyone along with its beautiful nature, which includes different kinds of floras and faunas. Distinct Buddhist culture. Sitting high on the other side of the Himalayas, the remoteness of the plateau is also an explanation for the region's peculiar culture. Retaining the ancient Tibetan people's distinct local cultures and stimulating the creation of a culture that can thrive in one of the harshest conditions on the earth. Tibetan Buddhism is also a significant part of Tibetan culture, inseparably related in such a way that their devout religious practices also profoundly affect people's everyday lives. Buddhism has had the most significant influence on the Tibetan culture of all since its arrival in the 7th century. And also, Buddhism, inspired by local animistic practices and the ancient Bon faith of the plateau that came before, has been transformed to best suit the Tibetan people and their way of life. Holy lakes and mountains. Tibet is a land with mountainous areas and large lakes, all of which in the Tibetan religion and culture have some religious or holy meaning. The most sacred lakes are the great three holy lakes of Tibet, being Manasarovar Lake, Yamdrok Lake, and Namso Lake. These three immense lakes are the cornerstone of Tibetan Buddhist devotion and are intense sites of pilgrimage on the plateau. In northern Lhasa, Lake Namso is known in Tibet as the Heavenly Lake and has links to the Guru Padmasambhava, who happened to stay at the meditation cave nearby. Shaped just as a fan or a Chinese character, Lake Yamdrok is regarded as the heart of Tibet and the lifeblood of the region. It is considered to be one of the world's holiest lakes. Of these three holy lakes, Lake Manasarovar is also considered to be the holiest. It is thought to have been the location where Maya Devi conceived Siddhartha Gautama, who proceeded to become the Sakya Muni Buddha worshipped in both Hinduism and Buddhism. Hence, it is important for both Buddhist as well as Hindu devotees. Mountain ranges are also an enormous part of Tibetan Buddhism, and at the height of these huge hills, gods are thought to dwell. Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world and the most holy peak for the Sherpa people in the Himalayas, lies on the boundary with Nepal. One pyramid-shaped peak of black granite, regarded as the most holy mountain on earth, sits to the north in the Nagari prefecture. Also believed to be the terrestrial representation of the Mount Meru, Mount Kailash was never climbed because of its valued status in 4 different religions. Colorful religious Tibetan festival. The autonomous region of Tibet has several festivals. Over 20 festivals a year take place from the start to the end of the year. Festivals are a time for people to gather, dance, and sing together. Most of the traditional festivals are related to worship, and now festivals are also celebrated for folk rituals and entertainment. Tibetan New Year, Batalam Festival, Great Bear Festival, Sagadawa, Shoton Festival, Horse Racing Festival, Bathing Festival are the most popular Tibetan festivals. Tibetan New Year is the most significant festival out of all.